Please excuse the messy drawing table, aka patters. We've been doing a lot of artwork, a lot of illustration, a lot of drawing this week. And speaking of this week on this channel, you guys know Fridays we do independent black and white comic books. Only sometimes are they in color. Before we get into Made in Hell 1997, let me know in the comments if what I'm about to show you guys, if you feel like this is weird. But it's also part of like the definition of the comic book readership and the comic book audience. And I think what we're about to lay out here before we get into the guts of the book, I think this is prevalent today. So let me show you. See, it all begins when we flip this over. Amy Ballard is Made in Hell. So we're kind of in, this is 1997, we're in what was titled the bad girl era. This is where like guys like our spiritual advisor, Stephen Hughes, he would draw Lady Death. Lady Death took everything over. And this idea came about where we can use like real life proxies. So like girls that were like in today's standards, and I'm struggling for a lot of words to really piece this together. But in today's world, like these girls here would be e-girls, right? They would be e-girls trying to sell American comics. But then it's the story, right? Like you're buying artwork, you're buying a continuation of something that came before, something that's going to come after. Like you invest a lot. So like Rob Liefeld and Glory, right? They pushed it. Rob Liefeld also pushed it with Evangeline, which is maybe the most successful of everything I'm about to show you guys. And here we have London Night Studios. Kill Me Softly, Embrace. But again, too, like see, like right on the inside cover here, like we're pushing the real life model, like the real life person. And Chaos Comics did this, and this became like even here, like look at London Night. They even have like censor nudity covers. High Impact Studios did something very similar. And this was just something that emerged from the mid-90s that I really feel like never went away. But I also feel like the practice of a stripper, and yeah, I know they're models, right? But it's almost like there's just something dirty about it. Because I just want a good story. I don't care if this is a real life person. I want Made in Hell to be a good story. And we had publishers high and low like roll in on this trend. And it kind of stinks. Because I think in this case, Steve Harmon, Amy Sandler, that's our writer, and Tony Mori. And Tony Mori, I tried to look him up. There's a Tony Mori out there that's a watercolor like artist, watercolor specialist, watercolor weapon. He's pretty deep in like the comic book scene, the convention scene. I don't know if it's the same guy. Now I tried to research Steve Harmon, Amy Sandler. Didn't get a lot of luck, but I found a Instagram account that looks like it's this girl. Like very recently too, posting, but going back to 2018, 7 years ago, posting about this comic. So someone's still out there pushing this. And what I'm trying to say is the sales position for this book, like the American comic book audience that this book is trying to appeal to, diminishes a true effort. This is something of note. This is, to me, was a little bit surprising. I like this a lot. It's a preview ash cane, which, right, that's redundant. We have a great inside cover with negative space. It's a blown up panel from within the book, but we have like somewhat of a cool origin, and it all involves like angels and hell. We see like the angel's feathers falling. We always talk about how difficult it is to draw angel wings. This cross here is a splatter cross. Usually our guys probably using a lot of toothbrush and splatter. I mean, it could be a little bit more clear, but we get somewhat of a true effort. And it's a little bit tough to follow all of it, and you guys can see just from the panel structure. But this uh, this caption, it's a style of captions, and it was popularized by Frank Miller, Sin City. Todd McFarlane like took it a little bit further with his Spider-Man and Spawn, where it's just like it's fragmented captions, and there is a narrative, but there's just a lot of opened like forever into the impenetrable darkness of hell. Like there's a it's almost like, I call it gap captioning, because there's gaps in the narrative, and there's gaps in the reader's mind. But I do feel like it's effective, and it's useful for new creators. But we get this this evil entity, and his tears are they flow into this goblet. And we have some like nice Art Nouveau paneling here, like all of these shapes. The only other artist around this time that did something similar was Joe Quesada for Ninjak. He did a lot of Art Nouveau paneling for Ninjak, but he's able to almost like create a like a reservoir of evil power through his tears, and he starts to command hell. Like all the lost souls of hell start to nurture themselves around him as he like fills up this goblet. And I think, like, look at this panel here. For lack of a better term, lack of a better idea, this is inspired. This, to me, there's a lot of really good instincts happening with these panels. Let me show you. We have like clear, obvious, like negative space. Every single one of these panels. It's a little rough here to exactly see what's happening, but we see like the demons coming out of the goblet right here. But look, so that's like a nice low angle shot. Tony Moy's going to do another shot coming up similar, but again too, like some like mystical effects. But again too, like the negative space, especially for this panel, like it pulls us in. And then one of his tears closes the gates of hell, and through that, like his son is born. And again, look, all this Todd McFarlane ribbons, right? Like very McFarlane influenced. Some of the, like some of the communication, but these are like hard things to draw, right? Like how do we draw like the gates of hell closing? Again, a lot of storytelling is solving problems, but this is just great here with these outstretched arms. And I'm interested in the production process. Like, is this a positive negative flip, or are we using like something like whiteout for our line work? Because it looks like, see, some of these are like jagged, but it also could be poor Photoshop skills, which we do have. So here's the thing. There's a lot of line work that's lost, and you can see it here. See like how choppy it is. We see it on the cover where like the output, potentially, I want to say potentially this could have been in CMYK and not RGB for the printer. because you get things like this sometimes with CMYK. See, it's just like a little too blurry. Now the HH here, I think that was like a coloring like a coloring house. But we have a Harmon comics. Uh, it's not quite legible. So like there's issues here. I don't want to say totally, but I also feel like the cross could have been more clear. But there's clear like pre-production, and like here, see, like this is super jagged. There's just some production problems. And here's the thing: comic pages take a what you put so much effort in comic pages, and as the illustrator, you it's like you're heartbroken when you get your hands finally, like the hands on your labor, and you see problems like this. But this page though, like this page, very clear, like very nice line work. Not much is lost. Now, some of this too also could be the paper, which is why you want to work with smooth bristle paper. If the paper is rougher, again, it's like everything is about reproducing a clean line. And a lot has changed. We're still somewhat in like the optical era for independent publishers. They're the desktop publishing part of all of this, Quark Express, Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop. Like this must have been maybe Photoshop, what, 6 maybe. But we see things, right? Like we see like some nice, like right here, like the gray, like nice breaking up that black, but it's not quite solid, right? It just looks jagged. But again, too, like some nice action poses. Spawn of the Deceiver, be gone. So he casts away his son, right? But the son like floods the father evil, and like floods him with water. One of his tears gets lost in like, and these are like big, complex ideas. But he washes away the lost souls. One of the tears gets lost in water. The displaced souls or the fallen angels, they find their way back home, like turn to heaven. But then like this, we're pissed off here. But and again too though, like right here, see, like you want to say this is a invert, positive negative invert. This is not white line work, and if it is, but again too, like young creators, you see things in the professional realm and you try and recreate it, like here too. So some of this could have been like post-production, but it's still like great pose, great silhouette, great looking dude. But they fight. Evil fights his son. The tear is lost. That the son shuddered in its wake. So, and again, too, like we're building towards the origin of Maiden Hell. The gates of hell get closed again. But then the tear's lost. And I thought this was such a good panel here. Like such a good solution. That the tear is like forming into the girl. And like again, like really good poses here. Like this is good stuff. And she turns into a mermaid. And this is where like sometimes like like the creative teams, it's like like Tony Moore could have been like laying this transformation out, and then like someone like gets on the phone with him and was like, it's a mermaid, right? But the mermaid, like, and this is kind of cool, like finds a well, finds its way to the surface, but it's actually a well that's underneath the ocean. Again, like these tougher things to draw in black and white and to sell in black and white, but it's Elena. So she swims up through a well in Atlantis and emerges on Earth in the earthly realm as Maiden Hell. So Maiden Hell essentially is like a lost tier of evil. Like during this struggle, like within hell, which is like pretty much right. Like it's a battle of salvation for hell souls to escape into heaven. And it's again like this is very spawned. A lot of these books at this time went into these concepts, but I think for like what this was, and I think back in the day, if you ended up with this, and I don't know if this was sold because it doesn't have a price tag, so they maybe gave this out at a couple conventions, and it found its way around, and it's here on Fridays. I view this as a legit like effort. This is a book that I feel like should have continued as far as I know. This and again, like this is why Fridays are so important because like we're here talking about this, we're here documenting this. I mean, even here, like the Cane umbrella, like look at this, dude. Like this, there's a level of detail. Look, coming soon in 1999, and this was 97. Wow. I bet there's a lot of artwork from this floating around that someone just never published. But again, like we get these like crow heaven and hell concepts. This is truly like of the day, of the time, sales positioning of the day, of the time. I still think it's weird. I never understood why like a stripper like girl sells a comic or sells a good one. The only exceptions for that really might be the Extreme Studios Glory and Evangeline. But I thought this book was there. I thought this book has true effort, and it's to be paid attention to. All right, guys. Well, it's Friday, and this is Maiden Hell.